All right, today I want to do an episode on the Liver King. Why? Because he's freaking fascinating, and it is blowing up the internet right now. So stay tuned, find out how eating prairie oysters and raw liver will get you jacked. All jokes aside, thanks for tuning in to the show today. This is an episode that I'm doing because you wanted it. And I posted it on my Hard to Kill Instagram account. So if you're not following, head to the Hard to Kill podcast on Instagram. Make sure to follow. And you'll be able to contribute to new episodes like this in the future. So I was already tracking this because obviously being in the health and fitness space, and especially working with men, I think I'd be remiss not to be covering this. And I just wanted to learn a little bit more because the Liver King wasn't somebody that I was actually following on YouTube or on Instagram, other than the fact that he would pop up in my feed, and I just dismissed him as another influencer that probably had an interesting message. And for me, it was just another one in the sea of influencers that are in there. But now that it's come out in the wash that he's been using performance enhancing drugs, which I know everybody's on the bandwagon like, oh, I knew it. That was obvious. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know his full story, but by looking at his physique, it seemed pretty obvious that he was using performance-enhancing drugs. So we're going to get into that a little bit more today. But before we do, I wanted to thank and send some positive vibes over the airwaves to those that are writing, commenting, reviewing the Hard to Kill podcast. And I want to just give some shout-outs to those in the community. So got a new rating from Chase, 80, and Gracie and me, and RJC, which are freaking awesome. I really appreciate them, guys. So thanks so much for rating the podcast. Chase, who was actually just on the podcast, will be, I guess, one of the new episodes. Not I guess, but it'll be one of the new episodes come January, season 5. And the lineup for season 5 is already freaking fire. So stay tuned. If you're not already subscribing, make sure to subscribe to the podcast because we're going to have some massive, massive guests. Namely, Ben Azadi is going to be on. If you're not tracking him, he is a keto diet superstar. And there's just tons more that are going to be on the podcast too, talking about fitness, health, and nutrition. Additionally, this is going to be the last episode I do before Christmas. And I won't be doing any new guest episodes until after the break. So come January, I've got a bunch in the can, and that's just so I can reset, rejig, and come back refreshed. But you will be hearing episodes. They're previously recorded episodes that I've done on other people's podcasts. I thought you might like listening to and help promote their podcasts as well. So stay tuned for those. So you will not be without your Hard to Kill podcast fix during the Christmas break. 2023, I think is going to be a really interesting year. We're going to be doing a lot more content. We're going to be looking for input like we're doing right here for the podcast, and doing a lot more to interact with you, the listener, so that we can hit all the topics that you're currently curious about and make you the hardest to kill community out there. Okay, so that's it on that front. Let's get right into, I guess, some news. Guys, I'm kind of blown away by a few things that are going on right now. Just last week, I don't know if you're tracking, but there was a cold fusion discovery breakthrough. If you're not tracking what cold fusion is, it's creating a fusion reaction, like what happens in the center of the sun, but without the sun. So these typically happen in nuclear explosions. They're able to do it now with a bunch of lasers refracting off each other, and they were able to get more energy out than they put into the system. Let that sink in for a little bit. If this is a thing, we have free energy for the remainder of humanity's time on Earth. So who are the evil forces that are going to start getting their dirty little hands on it? I don't know. But this is wild. Will we have fusion energy in our lifetimes? If we do, wow. Holy crap balls. Free energy, essentially. But will it be free? I don't know. We'll have to see about that. And then Chat GPT. If you check this out, it's an AI bot, essentially, that you can type anything into. So I've been loading up things like, hey, write me a strength and conditioning program for somebody who wants to join the Navy SEALs. I'm like, there's no way he's going to get this. I'm calling him he already. Holy shit. the robots are taking over. I'm assuming he's a he for whatever reason. And it pumped out a really good, like, standard training program that wasn't like crazy generic, like go for a run, do some no, it had swimming in there. I'll have to post it because I was like, wow, that's insane. It wrote a speech for me. It wrote a business pitch. I just went nuts for like an hour just asking it a million different questions and it pumping out really interesting answers. So the robots are here, man. The AI is here. If this is the future, like, this is just scratching the surface. I was talking to a guy yesterday who knows people that are on the corporate version, so the paid version, the enterprise version of the Chat GPT function or app, or I don't know what you even want to call it now, but he's like, it's cuckoo bananas. Like, the one that we have access to is just a fraction of what it's able to do. Wow. That's been on my mind last week. I thought I'd point, if you're not tracking, point you in that direction just to have some interesting news in your feed that's not all doom and gloom. Okay, so let's get right into it. The Liver King. What the hell is going on there? So if you're not tracking who this is, the Liver King is actually Brian Johnson. He's just a regular dude. And his social media following just exploded over like the last 2 years or so. Because before that, he was a CrossFitter, very fit human being. His older videos were just, showing what he can do. And like, he is definitely within the 1% of physically fit human beings. So can't take that away from him. He's known for promoting what he calls an ancestral lifestyle, which includes eating large amounts of raw organs and meat. So a lot of his videos show him eating bull testicles, raw, liver, raw, steaks, fish eggs, and this is what he covers in part of his like ancestral eating dogma or plan, if you want to call it. So his diet has been criticized by nutritionists, and I'm taking this from Wikipedia, guys, for being potentially dangerous. Okay. After he repeatedly denied ever using anabolic steroids to attain his physique, it was revealed he regularly used multiple performance-enhancing drugs. Yep. So if you don't know who this is, go Google him right now. Type in Liver King. Just look at his physique. Now, he is a 44-year-old man. Anybody that's spent any time in the gym or has any kind of grip of what bodies are supposed to look like and what bodies that are on gear might look like, it's kind of hard to believe that he got that physique just from liver and eating ancestrally. Like, the videos before and the pictures of him before, he was a fit, strong dude. I would love to have his physique, but he took it to the next level. Okay, so what Johnson, so Brian Johnson, the Liver King, he preaches is the 9 ancestral tenets, like I mentioned before. So what are they? The 9 ancestral tenets are sleep, eat, move, shield, connect, cold, sun, struggle, bond. Okay, so he sells a bunch of different stuff. He's the quintessential entrepreneur. So I'm on ancestralsupplements.com, which is his main hustle. He sells supplements. So this whole, I guess, marketing machine that he created is to sell these supplements. So the goal is to get you convinced that, oh man, I need to have more liver, I need to have more organ meats, I need to have all these things in my diet, and I will achieve some semblance of the Liver King, right? And that's kind of how the fitness industry, and that's how I make a living. Do you want results like this? Cool. Do this thing that I'm selling. Pretty basic stuff, right? So let's go over the 9 ancestral tenets. And I'll just go over them briefly here. They have them on the website. The first is sleep like a rock. Very similar to what I talk about. I say sleep or die. Same thing. The human organism is highly adapted to a sleep environment that no longer exists. Our ancestors slept directly on the ground. We were never meant to be disconnected from the electrons of the earth, and certainly we're not meant to sleep on a pillow top mattresses. I don't know. Maybe. So this also plays into like paleo romanticism. I don't know, man. Like if you reduce this down further and further and further, he's been known to just sleep on the ground. He doesn't have a bed. Maybe he does. Like if he lied about taking performance enhancing drugs, he probably lies about sleeping on the floor all the time. Just saying. And I like my bed. I freaking love my pillow. Like I'm soft now, man. I'm 41 years old. I'm a dad. When I go to bed, I don't want to be all uncomfortable on the floor. I have slept on the floor. It actually helps when my back is bad. But I live in Montreal. What am I supposed to go sleep outside in the backyard now? Is that paleo? Like how far do we go with the paleo thing? Do we go live in a cave? So that's kind of like paleo romanticism, right? But I do agree with him in the sense that we need to sleep better. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Eat like our ancestors. Many people in the modern world look to targeted support for their chronic health conditions while neglecting the very fundamental nourishment that governs our biology, health, and well-being. Think root cause. Root cause is almost always nutrient deficiencies. I agree. Hands down. Yeah. We eat like dog shit. The last video that I did was all on polyunsaturated fatty acids and just consuming way too much of the omega-6 fatty acid without any omega-3 because our food is just full of omega-6. Which isn't the way we're supposed to be eating. Okay, cool. I'm tracking on that. Next one is move like your ancestors. Modern Americans spend an average of 13 hours a day sitting down and 8 hours for sleep. And that's 21 total hours a day spent in sedentary state. Agreed. 100%. And so I've got the 30 to lean program. Gets you out for at least 20 minutes. Like the bare minimum, like congratulations. Like you're doing the bare minimum. It's 20 minutes of just walking every day. It doesn't have to be CrossFit. But you should be doing more. You should be doing more. Absolutely. Our bodies are designed for it. But 13 hours is roughly what most Americans, North Americans do per day, which is sitting at work, at home, whatever, not actually moving. It's causing problems. So I agree with them wholeheartedly on that one. Shield from dangers. While our early ancestors had to shield against lions, hostile tribes, and treacherous weather, in the modern world, we must shield against even more insidious dangers. Top of this list are xenoestrogens like phthalates, BPAs, alkophenols, and PCBs. They are everywhere from our food, water, clothes, and plastics. They wreak havoc on our hormones and are scientifically linked to the decline in fertility in recent decades. Yeah, I mean, that is a concern. It's a concern of mine. Actually, just recently, I even switched my toothpaste out. I'm slowly switching my grooming products like soaps and stuff to ones that are more hormone friendly. So Bravo Sierra, great veteran run company down in the States. I'm switching to their products. They were at the Mike conference in Vegas, and I love their stuff. So I'm switching over completely to them. Just because there's definitely there's something there. There's something there for sure. So this like the soaps and stuff that you're literally putting on your balls that help control your testosterone levels, yeah, you should probably be a little bit concerned that you want to have something that is cleaning your balls, not driving your testosterone levels down. So these phthalates, BPAs, etc., they're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. And I'm trying to get rid of them just in my daily life. And this is something that he's talking about as well. There is evidence that, there's the xenoestrogens, which are, mostly found in plastic products, but they're in not only plastics, but they're in not fertilizers, but pesticides. They can be causing some serious damage too, and we eat a ton of stuff that's covered in pesticides, right? So that could be a serious concern as well. So I don't think that decline in testosterone is a single variable. It's a multivariable issue, and that's just one of them that I'm tracking. So he's been known to, like, part of sleeping on the floor is to eliminate the xenoestrogens and the other compounds that are found in pillows as fire retardants from entering into his bloodstream. Whether or not it's in high enough concentration to do anything from your pillow, I don't know. But, food for thought. Connect to the earth. We believe that connecting with nature in all its forms can be the best medicine of all. Our early ancestors were in constant contact with nature, like the fertile ground we once walked upon. We were a natural extension of the earth. Okay, cool. I don't know the research on this, like to literally be connected with your feet and like on the grass kind of thing. It's something that it's curious. When I came back from Afghanistan, one of the things I was compelled to do was to go to the park that wasn't far from my parents' place and just like lie in the grass. Because if you've been to Afghanistan, there's like no grass, right? There's no, I mean, we were walking around in the dust all day, but it just felt like something I had to do. It was like hot. It was middle of summer, and it just felt good. I love putting my feet in the grass. Maybe you do too. Is there something there ancestrally that's part of our species that we need to do that? I don't know. I mean, we're talking about electrons, and it sounds very esoteric, which I'm definitely a fan of. But is there actually something there? No idea. Don't know if that actually helps, but definitely walking barefoot does have benefits just for your arch, for your ability to have a lot more tension and strengthen your calf muscles, use those calf muscles better. I even barefoot run on the grass during the summer when I can to help strengthen my my soft tissue. Great way to prepare for any distance runs. I have a lot of my clients try to do it as well so that they can just develop the strength, especially in the calf and the Achilles area that's underdeveloped because of running shoes. So something probably there. I'm not really tracking the earthing movement, but it might be something that has some merit. And then get cold. Like all mammals, I love this one. Our DNA evolved with cold. We're purpose built for it. In the modern world, though, we're rarely subjected to cold temperatures for any real duration. Yeah, this is something that I started tracking because of Wim Hof. I want to get some guys on the podcast to talk about it too, because cold showers is something that I do regularly. And I've never done a ice bath cold plunge. The closest I've got to is at the spa. I know I'm fancy. Hop in the cold bath after hitting the sauna or one of the cold hot cycles. I think it's great. I love getting in them. I love more the feeling that I have after, which is just like a endorphin rush. And I had a cool conversation with Ben Smith, who's a personal trainer, Army veteran, who said basically like cold baths saved his life. Like it sorted out his central nervous system, and he became a better human being because of it. So there's something there. There's something there to it for sure. So I definitely agree with that one. I think it's great. Definitely start practicing today if you haven't done it before. Just switch your shower to cold for a few seconds and switch it back to hot and go back and forth until you get cold adapted, and then you can go a little bit longer. Definitely has some benefits for the body and your cells long term. 7 is get sun, magnesium, fat-soluble activators. We're taught in the modern world to fear the source of all life on Earth, our sun. How crazy is that? Many people think we should avoid it, or worse, obstruct it with cancer-causing, hormone-disrupting sunscreens. Yeah, that's something I've been talking about too, actually. I avoid sunscreen, to be honest. I'll take a little bit of the burn at the outset. And the funny thing is, when I switched to a keto-based diet, I was out in the sun all summer, and I never burned. I never put on sunscreen. I was doing 3, 4, 5-hour training sessions, and I was fine. So I don't know what the research is on that, but definitely curious to know. And the sunscreen doesn't prevent cancer. It's like the research is so foggy and not clear because they cannot get a consensus around whether or not it prevents cancer. It prevents sunburns, but ultimately what you're trying to do is prevent cancer. The chemicals in the sunscreens, some of them are carcinogenic. So where does that leave us? I avoid using it as much as possible. If I do use it, it's to prevent a burn. But once my skin is conditioned to, and it's tanned, I don't burn anymore, even though I'm pasty Irish. I do all right. I think there's something there to that. And when you put on sunscreen, it prevents the ability for the UV radiation to help you create more vitamin D, which is really important. So I think there's something there to that as well. You need like 60 minutes of sunlight on exposed skin to get enough vitamin D. And typically you need to be a little bit sweaty because it's fat soluble, but that's a whole other discussion. Number 8 is struggle, fight, win. Nature is designed in such a way that too much comfort is not good for the organism. Weaknesses are created over time and eventually exposed when the harsh elements arrive. It's our rite of passage as a living creature on this earth to struggle, so dig in and embrace it. Amen to that, man. You got to struggle, and that's the only way that you're going to grow. I mean, case in point, like my finger is a freaking disaster. I don't know if you can see that from yesterday's jiu-jitsu session. Like some 28-year-old young buck just like folded me and just jammed my finger, like, I don't know where it ended up. I was grabbing onto his belt and he just rolled a different way. And it was just like pop, pop, pop. And I was like, ah, crap. Don't think it's broken, but the struggle is real, man. And I put myself in that situation, that white belt struggle situation, you know, on purpose, because what struggle do I have during the day? You know, like everything's temperature controlled. I can go get food from the grocery store right now if I want. I can get water. I can get anything I want. I can order something from Amazon. There's no struggle there, but we're meant to struggle. We're meant to fight. We're meant to overcome. And when you don't have it, I think that's one of the main reasons why we're suffering psychologically as a community, as a tribe, as a society. So definitely get out there. Find something that's hard. Weightlifting is one thing. It hurts. It sucks. Struggle. But you get stronger at the end. Same thing applies. It doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu. It can be anything. Just find struggle. I agree with him. He's got a 230 pound barbarian challenge, which is like his feat of strength. That's cool, man. That's very cool. And lastly, bond with your tribe. Since the inception of our species, we belong to a far greater purpose. Our tribe, for our early ancestors, purpose was protecting and providing for the tribe, risking life and limb to guard the perimeter and raising the next generation to do the same. Yep. Just like Sebastian Junger, I got his book behind me. Tribe is one of the main drivers of psychological health and emotional health. And it's one of the things that is sorely lacking in the veteran community when we get back, especially from tour. And one of the reasons why we want to go back on tour is because we don't have it here. It sucks. It's really hard here. You don't have the same kind of tribe. Even if you have a family, it's close, but it's not quite the same. So definitely find that tribe. Okay, so gone over his ancestral tenets here. That's cool. Now let's look a little deeper as to what the hell happened. And like, how did he get to where he is now? Like I said earlier, he's a smart dude. He has a degree in biochem. He was accepted into med school, and then he dropped out to start a business. He started a vertically integrated dentistry business with his wife, who's a dentist. They made a bunch of money off that, sold it, and then he got into like the whole Liver King thing. He's partnered up with Paul Saladino, who's a great fitness influencer as well, in like you want to call it the ancestral health type movement, who's got a lot of good resources that I follow and I track, and he's somebody that I trust his opinion. They created a supplement brand together as well. And so for what it's worth, like the Liver King is involved in this like new ancestral health type movement, and they're selling products, and that's fine. That's capitalism 101. But what seemed to happen is that it just fell off the rails because he seems like a very Machiavellian dude, like the ends justify the means. And so because of that, like seems to be filthy rich by the estimations here. His net worth is like $12 million, but it's probably a lot more than that. He's got a bunch of different companies. So he's got the Liver King brand, which is like obviously, you know, views and stuff like that on YouTube. He's got hundreds of thousands of viewers or subscribers on YouTube, Instagram, you name it. So you can monetize that. But he's also got 4 companies: Medicine Man Plant Company, Ancestral Supplements that we just talked about, Heart and Soil, which the company has with Paul Saladino, The Fittest, and then he's got real estate. Like he's a genuine, legit businessman, and he's smart. So he's been able to leverage his intelligence and his knowledge of business to do pretty well for himself. So with that being said, like, there's some quotes here, like from him on business. I'm a builder of businesses. I'm an evolutionary hunter. I'm that guy that leave the fucking comfort of the cave to take real fucking risk. Another quote is, so this is how I make my money. I own the companies that are downstream and upstream from each other. So he believes in like vertical integration. So you can see like he's got a very good business background. So it stands to reason that he created this whole persona, right? So he probably had a very strong team behind him, and they were able to create this image. Because if you look at his older videos, and I suggest you do, like his voice isn't even the same. And the way I see him is he's a WWE character. He's acting. He is taking on this persona because he is the Liver King, and he talks differently, and he sounds like a variation of like the Hulk Hogan and like Macho Man and these guys, because he's got certain things to say. He's got a cadence, and he's got an audience that listens to him. And so what that brings us to is, okay, so he got exposed for using performance enhancing drugs because he said from the start that, no, I don't take performance enhancing drugs. I don't take any testosterone replacement, because he said his 9 ancestral tenets is what gets him here. Eating things like raw liver and eating bull testicles and stuff was why he was so jacked. But his vascularity, his striations, like, it's just, for a 44-year-old guy, that is crazy hard to achieve. So he got exposed on Derek's More Plates, More Dates YouTube channel, who's a really good reference. I actually watch his channel before all of this, and he's Canadian, apparently, from Vancouver. Shout out to Canadian influencers. Now, he had some emails that he got his hands on, and long story short, essentially it went over the Liver King's entire protocol, monthly protocol. And just as a snippet as to like what his monthly protocol looked like, he had a steroid cycle that includes ibutamorin, omnitrope, deca, testosterone, and winstrol, to name a few, with a monthly fee exceeding $11,000 US. Wow. That's a lot of juice. So once I got exposed, I mean, he didn't have a leg to stand on, right? He built something upon being like natural, being natty, but clearly he wasn't. There was actually a UFC fighter, Eddie Alvarez, who was part of exposing all this too. And before we get into the apology video, just to give an idea of like his concentrations of what he's consuming. Liver King's actual tenets have been exposed. It's actually IGF-1LR, so that's insulin like growth factor. CJC with IMAP, I'm not quite sure what that is. You guys are listening that are more dialed into this community. You can definitely comment and educate me on this a little bit more. Then testosterone SIP 0.6 cc's per week, DECA 0.6 cc's per week, and winstrol 50 milligrams per day. From what I understand, that is a hell of a lot. Like, just at face value, that's a hell of a lot. Any of you guys that have ever gone on cycles like this, you could probably comment and let me know and let the community know a little bit more as to like how much this actually is, because $11,000 a month is not a normal budget for most dudes, right? So and the pictures here are just like insane, right? The guy is freaking, he's a WWE star. That's what he is. He's a Marvel action hero. Okay, so his actual video of him apologizing, I'll play a little bit of it here, and then I have some comments.
Primals, I'm making this video to apologize. Because I fucked up. Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Because I lied. And I misled a lot of people. I've stated that this is a complicated as fuck topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous. And after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous. And I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye.
Okay, something seems off. I mean, I'm no CIA analyst or great at interrogations. I did a basic course before deploying. I also work with teenage children as a high school teacher for a long time and have children of my own. You get a little bit long in the tooth. You start being able to recognize when people are kind of bullshitting, right? And anybody that's served a day of life in the forces, your bullshit meter kind of goes off a lot faster than I think most people. Something's off here. And I don't know if you can notice it as well, but when you're apologizing, typically, I don't know, talking about myself right off the bat, saying I'm filthy rich, saying how fucked up the situation is, and then not realizing he was going to get a lot of exposure from doing all this. Well, then why did you do all this? Obviously, you knew you were going to get a lot of exposure. So that's just my 2 cents there.
It's been tricky as fuck to navigate. Well, clearly I did it wrong. And I'm here now to set the record straight. Yes, I've done steroids. And yes, I am on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician. Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness to the 4,000 people a day who kill themselves, the 80,000 people a day that try to kill themselves. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life. Our young men are hurting the most, feeling lost, weak, and submissive. So I made it my job to model, teach, and preach a simple, elegant solution called ancestral living, the 9 ancestral tenets, so our people no longer have to suffer, so we can collectively express our highest and most dominant form. This is my fight. This is why I exist.
I think that's a great message. I don't know why you had to go down the TRT route or use any sort of performance-enhancing drugs. I don't know why you couldn't have just stuck to that message. My message isn't that far off. I'm sick of seeing our fellow warriors take their lives. One of the number one causes of death for young men in North America is suicide. He's not wrong on that front, but the way that he went about it was disingenuous. So his whole message gets lost in the sauce then. And that's unfortunate, because I think we do have a problem. And if he were to have just been honest, people would have still recognized that he's really fit and he's doing something differently, and has a half decent call to action. So that's, I'll stop the video there. I wasn't quite aware that that was his main objective, just from his website and reading his material before. I didn't know he was so passionate about ending the suicide epidemic. So I don't know. Is that genuine or not? Now that we know that he is not totally honest about things, how are we supposed to know? How are we supposed to know if his message is actually genuine here in his apology? It doesn't seem like it. It seems like he's rehearsed it numerous times, and it comes off as phony. So that's just my take on it. So where do we go from here, right? At least he's come out and apologized. Okay, cool. Good on him, right? He's actually got more followers now. Like, this video has millions of views now. All right. So where does this go? He's been on a ton of different podcasts since being exposed. He's been on Anthony Pompliano's podcast. He's been on Flagrant. Like, he's doing the tour. I know he's trying. Rogan was saying he was trying to get on Rogan too, but Rogan's like, well, you're a liar. What are we going to talk about? So was that part of his plan all along? Who knows? Obviously he's smart, and obviously he has a really good business sense about him. Is he getting more exposure now? And was that always the plan? And all this is just smoke and mirrors. That's why I find this so interesting, right? He's got a really important message now, but that whole message has been muddled by being dishonest. So, like, does it even matter anymore? I don't know. But I think that brings us to, I think, the greater question. And with respects to, we were talking about suicide, but also like men's health, and when it comes to, let's say, testosterone, right, and hormonal health. That's something that I promote in my Beast program, because I think it's one of the main issues that is plaguing, especially guys that are a little bit older, right? And we see that testosterone levels are plummeting, and the reason why isn't fully understood. There's a bunch of different factors that could be at play, but is there any just one that can be like the silver bullet? Likely not, right? So I wanted to just highlight that as a topic of interest. I think most men don't want to talk about testosterone. I think we always want to, like, go to the doctor and talk about cholesterol and making sure our hearts are working well, but it's all part of the same system. We need to have good hormonal health, and testosterone is one of those things that needs to be adequate in order to be just healthy across the board, including heart health, including psychological health, including just general wellness and well-being, and being focused and dialed in. So I got my testosterone levels checked. Now, the question I'll ask you is, do you know yours? Doesn't matter if you're, in your 20s, likely it's pretty high, or 40s, 50s, 60s. You should know generally where you're at, because it's a great overall indicator of your overall health. So I got mine done, and I'm going to share with you, because I said I would in the comments here, and to start a discussion. So let's just take a look at where my testosterone levels are at, and I'm just going to pull them up here. All right. So based on my total testosterone, I have a reading of 10.56 nanomoles per liter. The reference is 2.8 to 21.6 nanomoles per liter. Now, that's a reference from this test here. I'm going to go cross-reference that with some other figures that I found. One of them, I'm using Wikipedia as like a point of reference. I know all the teachers out there are like, oh my God, you can't use Wikipedia. Okay, it's reference, but then I'm going to use another one as well. So if we're looking at total testosterone in adult males here for 40 to 59, it should be 12.15 to 30.88 nanomoles per liter. So I'm under by a little bit. So I got low testosterone. Let's take a look at another one when it comes to, this is just another article here. What's the average testosterone level in men in their 40s? In the age group 40 to 44, men have an average testosterone levels of 597 nanograms per deciliter. So that's just that's a non-standard unit of measurement. So that would translate into at 20.7 nanomoles per liter. Oh my God, I have low testosterone. Shit. Oh, you heard it here first. Which I find kind of surprising, to be honest, with all the lifting I do. I eat well, I sleep well. So now I guess I got to have a conversation with my doc, right? This is something that I'm concerned with. Out of all the things I got tested, this was the one that I was really concerned with. And it's confirming what I thought, just because of some things that I've been literally feeling within my body. Like, I'm not healing as well. I know I'm getting older, but I also feel a little bit more sluggish. Even though I'm at the gym, even though I'm training jiu-jitsu, I don't feel like I have the pop. I don't feel like I have the mental clarity, focus that I used to. So is that a result of having lower than average testosterone? It very well could be. So that's why I'm suggesting you go out and do it. Even though if you think you feel good, it could be a very important next step. Now, the other thing is veterans are definitely at risk of having lower testosterone levels than the general population as well. So the research is pretty clear on that. And what seems to be happening, and this is, I'm taking a stab at this. I don't know, because the research isn't out, but I am going to estimate that there is a significant proportion of those veterans, or veterans like any one of us, that have been diagnosed with something similar to PTSD, but it's actually low testosterone. And if we've been misdiagnosed for years, I think this is the time to start having that conversation with, oh, wait a second, maybe all of this psychological work is not working because I have low testosterone, and low testosterone levels leads to depression. It is a symptom of low testosterone. So I'm going to go get this confirmed with the doc, see what my next steps are. I'm really interested to see where this would go. So if it results in testosterone replacement therapy, I will be the first to let you guys know that I'm on performance-enhancing drugs. Okay, trust me. So if my next videos are me with like a Hulk-like physique, you know, I'm not going to be hiding it. All right. And I know some of you guys are definitely prescribed already testosterone replacement therapy, and all of you that have come through my doors and have interacted with me that have all said great things about it. So let's see what the next steps are. Definitely considering it, and I'll definitely be posting about it in the future. So more to follow. Stay tuned. So that's it for me, folks. I am going to be taking a little hiatus for the break right now. It's the 22nd of December. So enjoy the time with your family. Happy Hanukkah to my Jewish bros and sisters out there. And don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll see you on the next one. Train hard, fight easy. Merry Christmas. See ya in the new year. Peace.